Good evening at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, March 8th, 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. On this 19th day of the opposition's protest, U.S. Ambassador Donald Liu held a working lunch with the DP chairman, Basha. The meeting with the U.S. ambassador comes 2 days after the parliamentary majority postponed the deadline to submit candidates for the vetting commissions which will vet the judges and prosecutors for the new judicial system, a move the Democratic Party sees as unconstitutional. For more than an hour, the U.S. ambassador and the DP chairman lunched together at one of Tirana's restaurants, though neither of them commented on the subject of their discussion. The opposition has stated the condition for its return to Parliament is the creation of a provisional government, which, according to the opposition, will guarantee free and fair elections on June 18th. Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador has made his appeal to the parties to approve the vetting law, which, according to him, is the most important link in the judicial reform, a reform for which the U.S. and EU have invested so much. This is the first meeting of the U.S. ambassador and the DP chairman since the opposition first began its protest. The Constitutional Court of Albania rejected the Union of Judges' request regarding the law on the status of judges and prosecutors. The judges have filed two requests. The first request asked for the suspension of the law, and the second for its repeal, considering the law to be unconstitutional. The Constitutional Court rejected their first request today to suspend the law, and it is now expected to rule on the second request to repeal the law. The chairman of the Union of Judges declared that the law is unconstitutional and expects the Constitutional Court to make an impartial decision, saying, "We think that and we hope that the Constitutional Court will review our request impartially, as it has always done. In our request, we have argued that the law does not bring effectiveness, but on the contrary, it causes a chaos in how the court vacancies will be filled, in the way the judges are appointed, which, according to us, will delay judicial processes all around Albania." Nevertheless, the Parliament representative asked the court to reject the request of the Judges' Union, saying their claims are unfounded and that suspending the law would have consequences on the other laws of the judicial reform. The law on the status of judges and prosecutors entered into force on November 22nd of last year. Analyst Carmona Borjas has commented on the political situation in Albania in an analysis posted to The Hill, an American newspaper. Carmona Borjas commented on the judicial reform, the international's role, and on the relationship between the governmental allies, Rama and Ilir Meta. In his opinion piece titled "Judicial Reform Still Faces Many Obstacles," the analyst writes, "Albania is on the brink of entering into negotiations for European Union accession. It has passed most of the EU's tests for this, political, institutional, and economic reforms. But one test remains, and it has now developed into a major political problem. This is the judicial reform. The current Socialist Party government came to power in 2013 with a strong directive to clean up the courts by removing corrupt judges and prosecutors. There was virtually universal agreement that this was essential. The European Commission made it clear that this was the one final hurdle standing in the way of accession negotiations. 8 months ago, the government introduced a draft reform plan. The plan was drafted by outside experts in close consultation with EU and US legal authorities. It envisaged a process to vet the credentials and qualifications of all judges and prosecutors. Curiously, the center-right Democratic Party opposition was opposed virtually from the start. Compromises were offered, including equal representation on the various bodies which would be established to oversee the new and vetting appointment system. As a consequence, the reform legislation was approved by the Albanian parliament in July with opposition's support. But now the Democratic Party is opposed again, and with its 50% representation on the reform bodies involved, it has been able to block any further progress. It is currently boycotting parliament itself. It has organized demonstrations and is now demanding that the government resign despite scheduled new elections in the next few months. Carmona Borjas adds that it is sadly clear what is going on. Quote, "The judges and prosecutors are fighting back. They don't want to lose their status quo," unquote. Analyzing the International's role, Carmona Borjas says that the EU ambassador has been criticized of favoring the Socialist Party more than the Democratic Party. In the Hill piece, he writes that corruption in the judiciary has its roots back in 1993 and analyzes the Rama meta-governing, writing, "A long-term consequence has been judges living well beyond their publicly disclosed means, mobsters overlooked for prosecution, and a political subculture reliant on a system which keeps them well protected. That poison pervades the state administration and politics and is what is behind the obstacles of Prime Minister Edi Rama's current reformist efforts. He can't even be certain about his political allies. Ilir Meta, the parliamentary speaker, is widely thought to be working behind the scenes against the reforms, though ostensibly a Rama ally." Carmona Borjas ends his analysis with the findings of the U.S. State Department report for 2016, which highlights that impunity remains a problem. Prime Minister's wife, Ms. Linda Rama, organized a reception today for International Women's Day. Speaking before women in politics, business, and journalism, Ms. Rama spoke of the damage being made to women in the spotlight. "I have frequently seen that we, the women with a public figure, find ourselves in front of a mirror where our image is disfigured. Of course, this hurts me, but what hurts me the most is a general indifference to the truth. Unfortunately, we do not take the violations seriously that are massively being made against us every day in this environment, where slandering and insults have become routine, just like the cliques. But at the end of the day, there is a question which has not received an answer. What is this radical transformation of our society doing to our children?" asked Ms. Rama, who also took the opportunity to openly and lovingly praise her husband. In presenting her husband, the Prime Minister, she said, "These last years, I am living in the spotlight of a scene which I have not chosen to live, but I am obliged to stay for the sake of big love. There is only one gentleman invited here today as a big supporter of gender equality." Prime Minister Rama addressed those at the event. "The sooner we are aware of the irreplaceable role women have in every family and in society, the better it will be. From the height of 198 centimeters, I can assure all men that the less frightened they are of protagonism by women, the safer they will be," declared the Prime Minister. Rama's government has 8 female ministers out of that 20 members that make up the government cabinet, making it the first government in Albanian state history with that many women in government. DP Chairman Basha held a meeting today with women at the protesters' tent on the occasion of International Women's Day. During his speech, the DP chairman said that the time to celebrate women's rights is still far away. March 8 is a day of protest all around the world. Women do not have their rights guaranteed in Albania. Women do not have the right for equal salaries. Female MPs were removed to pave the way for traffickers. Albania was ranked at the top of countries for human trafficking. The model Rama has brought is the biggest evil. This is the model for traffickers of women, declared the DP chairman, who added that once he came into power, he has prepared a plan which, according to him, will come to the aid of Albanian women. One of the measures the DP chairman plans to take is keeping children in schools until 1630. The DP chairman also promised fair representation by women. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.